You're right, guys. Shay here. Uneven bounce. Hope you guys are well. So I'm delighted to be joined today by Joe Nuttall of the 20 Yards Podcast and Aaron Biles, aka the Cricket Connoisseur. We're here today to talk about England's upcoming White Ball Series tour of South Africa, starting on Friday, November 27th. We've got 6 matches in total, 3 T20s and 3 ODIs, all played in Western Province. We've got obviously the luxurious and beautiful ground of Newlands hosting the first game, then to hop, skip, and a jump over to Paul for the second T20. And then to the third match, we're back at Newlands. It's the same schedule for the ODIs, which follow Cape Town, Paul, and back to Cape Town to finish off. It's just a very short tour. I think the final match is on December the 10th, so it's about a 13-day tour, roughly. So I just wanted here today, I've obviously brought on Joe and Aaron to discuss England's prospects and how we think we'll get on. So, you guys, how you been?
Oh, very good, Shay, of course. Yeah, been quite busy at the moment, of course, with the series coming up, but very good, mate. How about yourself? Very
good, thank you. I'm actually quite excited, obviously. It's a big series, and it feels like it was a few months ago, but less than that. It was 9 months ago, wasn't it? We finished the tour of South Africa last, and back there again. Obviously, very different circumstances. Obviously, we're only on 2 grounds this time. We're supposed to see the rest of the grounds, but I think we're in for a very exciting tour. I think South Africa are in a very different place to what they were 9 months ago. England, I believe, as strong as ever, but I do think it'll be I know the series is close, but I feel like England won't be the overwhelming favourites, in my opinion, going into the series. But I guess we'll discuss that in more detail now. I want to start off, guys, with England. I'll see your thoughts on the squad. Just for the guys who are listening, I'm going to reel off the squad. People who don't know. So quickly, the T20 squad is obviously Owen Morgan as captain, Moeen Ali, Joffa Archer, Johnny Bairstow, Sam Billings, Josh Butler, Sam Curran, Tom Curran, Chris Jordan, David Milan, Adil Rashid, Jason Roy, Ben Stokes, Reece Topley, and Mark Wood. And the ODI squad, we've got Owen Morgan as captain again, obviously, Moeen Ali, Johnny Bairstow, Sam Billings, Josh Butler, Tom Curran, Lewis Gregory comes into the mix along with Liam Livingston, Adil Rashid, Joe Root is back there, Jason Roy, Ollie Stone, Reece Topley, Chris Wokes, and Mark Wood rounding off the squads. The reserves across both formats, we've got Jake Ball, Tom Banton, and Tom Helm. I would like to discuss that, guys, if we get a chance, about the reserves in particular. Let's get your opinion on those three. Because I think it's slightly less left field, especially regarding Tom Helm, but maybe obviously you've got the opinion on that. But let's get into it anyway, guys. So my thoughts in the squad. I mean, I'll fire it to you guys. So you can tell me obviously if you're not pleased with it, but I want to go first to you, Joe, and ask you if there's any kind of notable absentees from the squads that I've just listed.
Yeah, so I'll start with the one that I feel like has been coming for a while, and that is obviously there's no Joe Denley. He obviously didn't get a central contract in white ball cricket, which is, as I say, I feel like that's been coming for a while. And it's kind of been in and out of this white ball and red ball sides over the last sort of 12 months, hasn't he? So yeah, obviously there's no Joe Denley. But for me, being a massive Lancashire fan, the main absentees there are. There's no Liam Livingston in the T20 squad, which I can't understand at all. I feel like he walks into that, in my opinion. And I also can't understand how there's no Matt Parkinson, certainly as a backup to Adil Rashid as an out-and-out spinner, but also no Saqib Mahmood either. I just don't get that. And neither of them, Parkinson was injured sort of like August time, kind of time. So maybe they're protecting him, but I think that's a bit of a feeble excuse in terms of protecting him from injury. And I don't know why Mahmood's not in. So yeah, I don't agree with them personally. But apart from that, the squad looks all good to me. And obviously, as I say, no Joe Denley. So yeah, the absences of Parkinson and Mahmood are frustrating. But at least they won't get any. Yeah, at least they won't get any injuries going into the new season next year with Lancs. So from a more selfish point of view, that's good for me. So.
How about you, Aaron? Do you concur with that, or anyone else you could maybe pick out you feel like should be in the squad?
Well, of course, we don't want to sound too biased here, but obviously the big one in the ODI squad, someone who I still don't understand when he's got the highest list day average of all time, 59.78. Can remember that just off the top of my head. Yeah. He's better than Kohli and Michael Bevan.
Oh, never knew that.
Yeah, it's the best of all time, and that is Sam Hain. someone who's not only performed so brilliantly for Warwickshire, he's a match winner, bona fide match winner in many ways for the Bears, but also for the England Lions as well. It's not as though he's gone to these Lions tours and not performed. He's got big knocks. He's again saved matches from unwinnable positions. So obviously that's a big one. And as Joe rightfully said as well, Matt Parkinson, I do not understand why he's on the tour, in case it is maybe just because of that injury. But even then, even just put him as a reserve. He needs to be in that environment, doesn't he, realistically, behind Adil Rashid. Rashid is ageing. He's a brilliant spinner, don't get me wrong. He's still at the peak of his powers, let's say. But Matt Parkinson is almost his prodigy. He's his understudy. He's the guy who's going to take the reins once Adil Rashid does go. So that was baffling to me. And the third and final one, I suppose, is actually Ollie Stone, because Ollie Stone's List A figures aren't actually as good as his T20. So I thought they actually would have been swapped around. I'm not really complaining that he's in the squad. I mean, obviously that's fantastic for myself as a Warwickshire fan, but that was also confusing to me. And then, of course, another one which sparks much debate wherever you are in the world, and I'd love to know your opinion on this, and that is Joe Root in the T20 squad. Now, Joe Root did have a very good T20 blast. You saw him in the warm-up game the other day as well, 77 from 77 balls. I'll flip the question over for Joe Root. Do you two think that he should be in the T20 side or not?
Who wants? I'm very keen to answer that question, but Joe, do you want to go first, mate?
Well, I mean, for me, he has to be 100%. I mean, he got 46 now in the T20 warm-up today. And Sam Curran also got 45 now or something like that, around there. So, yeah.
Joe Root.
Sorry?
What's his strike rate?
He only faced about 30 balls. So
yeah, 173.
Yeah, for me, he has to be in the squad at least. And for me, he has to play every game. Because he's the kind of player who can come in at three, like a Kane Williamson, like a Steve Smith, and he's not a blocker in T20 cricket, and that's an overused phrase, but he's not actually. He hits boundaries when he's actually a powerful T20 player at times, and his timing and his finesse is pretty key. So for me, he has to be in the squad. I don't understand why he's not, but he's there in South Africa, so it's obviously really easy to put him in the squad, and it wouldn't surprise me if he played on Friday, because it's the sort of thing that the ECB would do, is not pick him and then just decide another day he's playing.
I think there's so many good points that was raised. I mean, I'd love to delve into Sam Hain thing. I think that's a fascinating topic, and to see why he hasn't been picked. The Joe Root thing, okay, I've been thinking for quite some time actually about doing a video on this. This might sound a bit wacky and a bit out there. It's almost like a bit like chuckle brothers right now, to me to you, because the questions have been back and forth. But I mean, I would say, okay, hear me out for a second. Moeen Ali has been extremely poor in the past two years, especially in T20 cricket. Okay, so his averages, I don't have to hand, I should have really jotted down, but I think it's in the 70s. Now, I know obviously average is not everything in terms of T20 cricket, but let's be honest, he's not been effective. He's dropped from the World Cup last year, as we all know. So he's not been effective in white ball cricket. I'm not saying in terms of 50 over cricket, but we've obviously Aaron's referred to the T20 side. Is there an argument to say that you can get 4 reasonable overs and better overs and more effective overs than Moeen Ali to take that middle order spot? Because I would, obviously, he's gone away. He's done very well with Yorkshire. After the Australia series, he went back to Yorkshire. Obviously, didn't play T20s against them. And he did very well, as we all know, with the ball as well as the bat. So is there an argument there for Joe Root to be considered a second spinner, or would the pressure on him to be considered a frontline spinner as part of 20 overs then give him added pressure? So from the batting perspective, they can go after him as opposed to, well, it's Joe Root's part-time 1-2 overs to sneak in there for Owen Morgan. But would the added pressure on him at this level, international level, be too much for his ability with the ball? So either you want to answer that?
I'm happy to answer that first, Shay, if you want, because you've raised some great points there. Excellent points. Of course, Moeen Ali, I would actually say more so in T20, he hasn't been as bad. I think with the ball, it's fair enough. As you said, has got terrible average since 2018. But with the bat, he has been performing at least. And he performed in the last tour of South Africa.
Yeah,
I think in ODI...
He's crazy, went berserk in the first innings. I was there for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, mental.
But yeah, just with Moeen.
no. Yeah, I agree. He's sorry, yeah.
Yeah, but just with Moeen, I just want to talk about his ODI just first, and then we'll talk about Joe Root, because his ODI, what I didn't realise about his average, it's 114.85, and he is considered England's second frontline spinner alongside Adil Rashid. So I actually think, in terms of Joe Root taking on that second spinner role, I'd rather see that in ODI cricket, because we saw him against Australia, bowled 8 overs. I think he got 2 for 46 against the Aussies, if I'm not mistaken, at Old Trafford. So I'd be more tempted to play him as the frontline spinner in one-day cricket where he has a bit more time. Obviously, you have the middle overs as well where teams are taking a bit more slower. Yeah. In terms of T20 cricket, I suppose the only thing with Joe Root at the moment is where would you slot him into the batting lineup? Would you put him in at 4? Because Milan's been fantastic at 3. He's the number 1 in the world at the moment. He's overtaken Babar Azam, which is an extraordinary feat in itself. Of course, you've got Owen Morgan. He'd have to be bumped down to 5. Shay, I just wanted to ask you this. Would you be in favour of that, put him at 4 and take Moeen Ali out and, let's say, put Sam Billings in, for example?
I'm a huge fan of Sam Billings, actually, out to get to the middle of the while because I think he's really taking his chances this summer and also in the warm-up game as well. I mean, I like the idea of a kind of just, that kind of Malan, Root, Morgan, that 3-4-5 as in left, right, left, and just keeping that kind of variety at middle order. I personally feel some of Joe Root's caliber and ability, you need to find a spot for him. That's my personal opinion. I just think he's that good a player. I mean, he proved it 4 years ago in a lot, as we know, in the T20 World Cup. I mean, if you remember, I believe he got Chris Gale out in that first over. He did. He came under. I think a lot down to Morgan as well in his excellent captaincy he was showing in the early stages. But I feel like Joe Root is just a kind of player who rises to the challenge, and I think he's tried to make the concerted effort in domestic. And obviously, last year, remember, went to the Cindy Thunder, went to BBL with Thunder. Didn't work out for him, but obviously, I think he's really trying to press his claims home, and I think he's done himself. As I said before, 77 in the first game, 46, 173 strike rate today. He can't do much more, really, can he? That being said, I think Moeen Ali made 41 today. I think he batted 4, made 40 off. But I think close to run a ball. I don't think it was anywhere near the same strike rate. I do agree with you. I think you made a good point. So the 50 over cricket, obviously, you can get maybe 8 to 10 overs out of him, those middle overs where Nudge and Nuttall for 5 and 6s, just milk him for 5 and 6. I just feel like Moeen Ali, the way he is right now, I think that more and more opposition teams are just looking at him and just treating him with just complete disdain. I mean, we've seen Australia so many times. We saw it 3 years ago. We saw it in the recent series a few months ago. I just don't think he has that. Maybe because obviously he was still feel a bit jaded. And I saw a recent interview with him. He says he's rejuvenated. I'm just thinking at 33 years old, have we seen the best of Moeen Ali? That's what I would say. But it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I go back to the fact if Joe Root is treated as someone like a second spinner, and they know Joe Root is going to bowl 8 to 10 overs, there's added pressure on him and Morgan to deliver on a consistent basis. It's not like now where if Joe Root comes on, it's a little bit of a bonus if he takes a wicket or if he pulls if he goes to 38 in his 10 overs, well done, Joe. It's fantastic. If Moeen Ali does, well, that's expected of you because you're a frontline spinner. You see, so it's whether Joe Root is capable enough to take that kind of responsibility on his shoulders. I just feel when Moeen Ali's form over the last 18 months, 24 months, it's worth a gamble. And if it's not Joe Root, for me, it should be someone else anyway. Like a Matt Parkinson, for example.
There's a man who I do want to throw out there.
I feel like lengthening the tail, especially, say, for example, Tom Curran's in there, is very capable with the bat. I'm okay with, say, for example, Tom Curran at 7 to allow Matt Parkinson to bat 9, 10, 11. I'm okay with that because I feel like you might get enough runs out of him. And who knows, maybe Jofra Archer can whack a few like he did in the IPL.
He's an all-rounder, isn't he?
Well, I don't know about all-round. I just think he's a few lusty blows, really. I wouldn't call him an all-rounder. But I just feel like I think it's down to really my kind of my lack of respect for Moeen Ali as a cricketer.
There is one name I'd like to put out there as the second spinner.
I just think the team needs to move on. I think he's to give 6 wonderful years of service. And I feel like they should be looking at other options.
Livingston's the man. Livingston's the man.
You went for like 25 or 2 balls today, Livingston.
Yeah, but that happens, doesn't it? That's cricket, That's cricket. And honestly, the way he is, I've obviously seen him pretty closely in terms of his bowling development over the last sort of 18 months. And his bowling has just come on leaps and bounds. And sure, he's had tough times with his bowling at the death, which is honestly not where he should be bowling anyway, and he wouldn't be bowling there for England. So, but in the middle overs in T20 cricket and in one-day cricket, he's a reliable wicket taker. I've seen him take 3-4 wickets countless times. So for me, Liam Livingstone would be an option. Certainly in one-day cricket. In T20 cricket, he's got to open the batting, and I don't honestly think he could fit in the T20 He couldn't fit in a T20 side. But in one-day cricket, he could.
A batsman who bowl a little bit, and Moeen Ali isn't that. He's expected to be a fully fledged all-rounder, bat and bowl.
So there's almost less pressure on Root and Livingston, and like people like Liam Dawson as well. I feel like would come under that category. Maybe a bit more Moeen Ali. Maybe he's more of a genuine all-rounder. But I feel like there is less expectation on Root and Livingston and guys like that to take wickets because they're seen as a part-timer, whereas actually they're really talented spinners and they have the ability. And Root's proven that. Root's proven that. Livingston's proven that on the county scene. And for me, I would love to see Root as a second spinner in T20 cricket and certainly to bat number 3. I would have him bat number 3 as well in T20s because that's for me his most effective position.
So ahead of Milan.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't personally. Maybe a bit controversial. I wouldn't have Milan in the side.
Wait, what?
Personally, I would go for Roy and Bairstow in the batting, Root at 3, Butler at 4 for me, and I guess that's a good problem to have. I guess that's a good issue to have. And then Morgan at 5. So
Milan doesn't make the side.
For me, is he England? For me, yeah. For me, is he England's? I mean, obviously he's the world number 1, but is he England's most powerful T20 hitter? Can he play? Is he more powerful than Jason Ryan, Josh Butler? No. And Johnny Bairstow? No, probably not. He's not more an explosive hitter like those. Is he a finesse player like Root and Morgan? Probably not. He's somewhere in the middle, and that's not to say he's not a good cricketer because he's a world-class cricketer. But for me, I just feel like it kind of unbalances the side. And if you want to have Root in there, Morgan in there, Butler in there, there's not really a place for Milan. And England seem to have their favourites in a way. So maybe that comes under it a little bit. I don't know. But for me, yeah, Milan, and maybe I may be wrong. And if I am, then fair enough. But it's just my opinion. So,
well, it's just your opinion. It's fair enough. Yeah. I mean, listen. I think the Milan out of favour thing, I think that coincided with the fact that I feel like there's a lot being said. I think that Morgan and Milan had issues last year because Morgan about that, especially in New Zealand when he didn't set a run, did he, in New Zealand? And I think and then Milan obviously left Middlesex to go to Yorkshire, and I wonder if there's stuff behind the scenes between those two, or maybe he knew how Milan was kind of operating behind the scenes. And obviously, since Milan's gone to Yorkshire, everything seems to be fine again. I mean, Aaron, just quickly, because I don't want to go on too much about this, but just quickly, do you want to elaborate or maybe follow up on what Joe said about Milan? Would you have him in the side ahead of Joe Root? Or?
See, it is a tough one, and I see where you're coming from, Joe, definitely. But Milan, you're dropping the world's number 1 batsman. And not only that, when you look at the T20 Blast as well, he's been right up there for the past couple of seasons. Think back to 2019, he was the leading Englishman. He was only behind Babar Azam. So for me, I don't think you can drop him. I understand your point about he's not a power hitter, he's not a Bairstow or Roy, and he's not maybe a finesse and a touch player, but I think he marries the two quite well. And I think that's almost quite a nice hybrid, having that number 3 role for England. He's played very well. We mentioned New Zealand. He's been excellent so far. So I don't think you can just drop him to bring in Joe Root. I think if you're going to do that, the way in which you could manipulate the 11 would be by dropping Moeen Ali. As I said, put Root at 4, Morgan at 5, Stokes at 6, and having someone at 7.
Do you not think Stokes is too deep? Remember, he scored 100 in the IPL at the top of the order. So then is 6 not too deep for Stokes? Because he's not even someone we mentioned. I mentioned power hitters there. We've not even mentioned Stokes. And people were saying he's not even in England's best T20 11, which is crazy because he is. He is without a doubt. That's just ridiculous. So to me, even his fielding alone, even if he couldn't bat and he couldn't bowl, his fielding alone would be one of the main reasons he got in the side. But yeah, I mean, of course, Stokes is in England's best team. So do you not think that's too low for Stokes, number 6?
Not in particular, because in previous IPLs, and obviously IPL isn't international cricket, but it's very close to it in terms of T20s. Yeah. He has finished innings off. He used to do that for Rising Pune Supergiant. So again, I understand your point, but
maybe as a floater, he could be good.
Potentially, yes. I think that
I
would
like
be
the
an
idea of a floater personally. Yeah. I don't know what you think about that, Shay. Obviously, like let's say England have made a good start and we're 100 for none off 10 overs. Maybe you don't send Root in, maybe you send Stokes in at 3, someone like that, to sort of move the innings along, keep things flowing. If a wicket falls,
didn't we in the West Indies series? Obviously, Stokes opened with Butler, didn't he?
So in the test, yeah.
won't be West Indian series. So we know. I mean, Stokes is for me one of the most innately talented cricketers that I've ever seen play for England. I've been following since 1990. He's incredible, absolutely incredible player, and I would definitely have him in my best 11 across all 3 formats. And I think one of the reasons why is versatility. So I mean, I would have him there. The thing is, though, I'm really a big fan of Sam Billings. I like the fact of what he's done. I think he realised. I mean, he's obviously come out and said recently that England white ball teams are one of the hardest sports teams to get into the world. But
that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. Guys like Billings knocking on the door, guys like Livingston knocking on the door. You know? Sam Hay, Laurie Evans. Laurie Evans had a great T20 Blast campaign. Daniel Bell-Drummond, Zach Crawley starting to sort of make divots into white ball cricket, if you like, and I guess that's a good problem to have. You know, you want to be spoiled for choice rather than not sure who to pick because the team's not very good.
Will Jacks is my, I've said on this channel that Will Jacks is actually one of my shouts to take over Moeen Ali, because I think he's got the only issue I've got with Moeen Ali is that he bowls it too slowly. Will Jacks bowls it too slowly. He's opened the bowling a lot. Now again, he reminds me of a little bit of a younger Joe Root. He tosses it really high. He gets in a lot of F&D, but the problem is he does turn the ball. But then I think good players can get after him. But he's a really, really clean striker with the ball. And he did very well this year, especially batting with Hamlin at the top of the order. And I think if you work on his bowling, which hopefully he'll get a chance in the BBL. I think he's playing for Hobart.
That's going to be a crucial experience. That could, we could see him, come from a really, really good youngster to, one of the top English white ball cricketers. And I don't like to pigeonhole people as a white ball or a red ball cricketer, but I feel like people do that to Jacks. But I mean, his red ball cricket is obviously very good as well.
I remember 90 against Essex did very well. He can play on the carpet as well. He's not just bing bang wallop, but he's a very talented. He's 22 years old. He's a very talented player. We saw obviously when Jew Boys looked at it last year. That was it 100. Aaron, what was that 100 he scored? Will Jacks?
Oh, that was against Lancs. Yeah. That was thankfully that was only a pre-season friendly. It was 126 balls, and he hit Parry for 37 and over.
Pre-season friendly, yeah. But it's But I think he's obviously showed his, and that was there. He's like 20 years old, 21 years old. He's got a lot of ability. I think now because of England's white ball squads being that strong, if you're on the periphery of this, you're probably thinking you've got to develop both facets of your game. If you can bowl a bit, you need to work on that to get into the side. Because how the hell else are you going to get in if you're a pure batsman?
You don't even need they don't even need any wicket keepers, do they?
If I want to get into this side, I need to be able to bowl and bat and field. Because how the hell are you going to slot? Look at the names you've reeled off. I mean, Tom Banton, an incredibly exceptional player, amazing in ability, is in the bloody reserves. Do you know what I mean?
And Livingston's not even in the squad. There's no Ben Duckett, who had an amazing T20 and has improved. Joe Clark hasn't got a look in. He had a really strong tournament. That's the thing. There's so many players who could be in the side and just can't. And I guess, as I say, that's a good problem to have. That's why I quite like intra-squad games. I feel like they're always an interesting thing. If the stream's a bit better than it normally has been these past 2 games. But intra-squad games are always good for me. I always enjoy them.
Yeah, I think it was a Chris Jordan who was saying also. Ollie Stone actually might have said that. It was played with quite a bit of fire. It wasn't just like, just you turn up, smile and laugh. It was played with a bit of passion, which is good to see because they all want a spot and they know that you have to perform to get in. So,
Yeah, because at the end of the day, other than Morgan, no one's spot is guaranteed in the T20 side for next year. I would probably say Morgan and Jofra are the 2 players who are without a doubt in the side.
I think Butler as well. I think Butler finds a spot somewhere, surely. I almost certainly he's in the side. I think Roy and Bairstow, maybe Bairstow. Roy's not guaranteed a spot. I don't think it's say Roy.
Bairstow for me, definitely guaranteed. And
I wonder why.
Yeah, massive Johnny Bairstow. Yeah, well, he plays for the Stars as well. So.
Okay, right. There you go. There's some leaders there.
Yeah, can look past that.
So, that was just one player that Aaron mentioned. It was like, I want to delve into the Sam Hain issue as well. We've already 24 minutes in. We've gone to that.
That'll take another hour.
Maybe that's probably for another episode. Because I'm quite intrigued about what's going on there with Sam Hain. But I think we'll have to touch upon that the next show. But, okay, so we've obviously talked about notable absentees. I mean, Parkinson, obviously, we mentioned Joe Root. if we head over to obviously to the opposition, so obviously South Africa we're up against. Who's the players to watch out for? Would you say here? I mean, I know you're probably going to come to your suspects. Is there anyone that maybe the viewers won't necessarily know? Be a household name, maybe. Aaron, do you want to kick us off?
I will, because there's one player in particular who I have been a fan of for a number of years now in South African domestic cricket, and I love the fact that he's finally able to express himself, hopefully on the international stage, and that's Glenton Stearman. Now, he's a brilliant bowler. I know he came to prominence, I suppose, this year with the three-team cricket, for anyone who watched that. But in terms of his List A averages in particular, this guy has been one of the most underrated performers in the whole of the Rainbow Nation. He's been absolutely sensational. In 31 List A matches, 40 wickets, an average of 25.2. He's got very good control, good variation. And I think in Pal in particular, where there is just that little bit more in the surface for bowlers who can utilise those variations well, such as your cutters, your slower balls, I think Glinton could be an outside chance. I really do. Of course, I think someone who's on everybody's lips after the IPL as well, Henrik Nortje. Everybody wants to see that 155 plus kilometres an hour, absolute heat being bowled at the England batsman as well. He should be a fantastic one to watch out for. And then my third and final one is someone who I have immense respect for. I love him as a cricketer. He's a great bloke as well. Very, very nice, I must admit. And that's Carver Rayner. Now, for those who watch the Australia series, that's where he kind of came to prominence a bit. He really matured. I have spoken to him about maybe converting his 50s into hundreds. That is something that he's looking to do in the future, of course. He's only 23 years of age. But Carver Rayner is such a classy, fluid, and as Joe mentioned earlier, a very finesse-driven player. He's a wonderful player to watch on a cricket pitch. So I think Carver Rayner would be my third and final option for that category as well.
Do you think that Carver Rayner makes a team?
Yes.
But both T20 and ODI?
Definitely ODI.
Yeah,
I think in one-day cricket, he's been absolutely immense for not only the Cobras, but as I mentioned there as well, in that Australia series, in Potchefstroom in particular, with that magnificent 50, took a couple of great catches as well. I think he deserves to keep his place. In T20s, to be honest, anyone could get in. And I'm sure we'll speak about this, but I think other than Quinton de Kock and maybe Faf du Plessis as well, and even then his spot's up for contention as well, I suppose. I think anyone could make that top six. So I'll say a hesitant no, but you never know with South Africa, do you?
It's interesting, isn't it? They've announced just simply a 24-man squad, as opposed to splitting up, obviously, the formats. So I think they might just give the ODIs, I think they might do experimental, potentially, give people different goals. I think the T20s, with obviously the World Cup being, I think, just under a year away now, they want to get a settled 11 heading inside, getting the kind of team, the rough nucleus together now. I think, it's still a bit disjointed, but I think this players there, I think will be there. I mean, Joe, who do you think we should be looking out for come Friday?
I think for me, obviously, you got your obvious, your obvious suspects, Quinton de Kock, Faf du Plessis.
Yeah.
I think Henrik Larsson, if he gets a game, which I think he will.
Well, yeah, start the year against Australia.
Yeah, for me, he's one of South Africa's most underrated players. I've always enjoyed watching him play. Obviously, he has been in sort of a battle for the gloves with Quinton de Kock, and de Kock is just quality, isn't he? So, yeah, he's always going to come out on top. And yeah, for me, I really enjoy watching Larsson. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see who else plays for South Africa. Fekler Kwayo as well is another one for me, who again has been around now for. I really rate him. I think I think for me, he's the kind of bowler who would just come on and just take a couple of handy wickets here and there.
Yeah.
Or to break, he'll break a partnership. He'll come out of nowhere and just come on, bowl, 1 or 2 overs and break a partnership, or 4 or 5 overs in a one-day match. And yeah, for me, he's one of, again, South Africa's most underrated players. And they've obviously been around for a while, but they've not really. They're not a household name, but they've been sort of pushed underneath compared to guys like Quinton de Kock and Gisa Rabada, people like that who are obviously the stars of South Africa.
Yeah. I have to shout out Aaron this one because the last time we spoke, Aaron said, I was listening on your show on 20 Yards, Joe. Aaron said that KG would be the leading wicket taker in the IPL. And I was watching that, and every time I bowled like 2 for 3 for 4, like shit. Aaron just got this nailed on, man. It's like, I have to say, big up to Aaron for this one because he got that absolutely spot on. He was absolutely superb, and I think he goes into the series. I think the best thing that could have happened to South African cricket is him and Nortje in that partnership.
Yeah. I mean that was just obviously that was like not luck, but that was just it just happened that they played for Delhi because obviously anyone could have bought them, but
Nortje was a replacement for Wokes, I believe.
He was correct.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't even think. I mean, all due respect to Chris Wokes, I'm not sure that he would have been as effective as Nortje was. You might disagree, Aaron. I'm sure you disagree.
Wokes would have been
It's
effective in a different way. Wokes would have been effective in a different way with his, his new ball abilities.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been a dynamic duo. I agree with that definitely.
And to have two guys bowling 90 miles an hour,
but I think he said both on 90 miles an hour. I think it was just aggression. Okay, and I think South Africa have actually found a trio now to replace Blander and Morkel with Ngidi there as well. With those three, I think you've got to tap next 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, Nortje's 20, Rabar's 25, and Ngidi's 24. It's absolutely fantastic news for South Africa. It's funny because we talked about Klaas and Verreynne at the Cock. They've got a similar situation to us, isn't it? We've got so many keeper batsmen, quality keeper batsmen. They've got the same situation, same problem in a way to get them all.
Share it, don't we?
All the countries, but that was in awe, isn't it? Of these options that these two countries have. I do feel like Klaas are maybe a little bit ahead of Verreynne if it's going to pick. I think just possibly for the first team in both sides. But I think Verreynne.
I always feel like wicketkeepers have more of a when you're going for a batter spot and you're not taking the gloves with another batter. I always think they have more of an advantage because they're keepers, so their fielding skills are better. For me, that's the impression I get. If you're similar players, obviously it was always going to come down to fielding if you're not going to bowl, and I always think keepers are just so good in the field. Look at Johnny Bairstow in the World Cup. Didn't drop a thing in the World Cup. So
I know both of you have interviewed obviously professional cricketers, loads of them, and I know if you've also asked a question before, but good to know. Do keepers enjoy, fielding in the outfield, or do they just kind of long to get the gloves back on? I'd love to know that because it's like a sense of freedom rather than being stuck in that one position to get around and is it a bit fun for them, or do they actually enjoy both? I'd like to know that if you do speak to them.
I think I asked Carl Verreynne something similar, and he said that he does prefer the gloves. But again, when he does go into the outfield, I think he does enjoy it because, again, if you can take a catch, obviously with bare hands, you don't have the gloves on, and you take an absolutely sensational catch, you pull off a fantastic diving stop. Look at Pooran, for example, in the IPL. I suppose that must be quite a special moment, I suppose.
Especially if you're on the boundary in front of the crowd as well, when there's a crowd there, and then
maybe not in this series.
Oh no, but yeah, you get the idea in general. So yeah, I always think keepers are such good fielders, and their throws are always gun throws anyway.
Yeah,
obviously all pros have gun throws, but keepers I always feel like just have secret throws that are just outrageously good, and they're just when they try to run a batsman out, that's when you realise, he can throw a ball pretty well. So yeah,
I guess the benefit of always being the keeper, you very rarely get heckled by the crowd. I mean, you can't really hear anything, can you? The boundary, you can get called also, can't you? But yeah, so okay, so we're looking obviously to Glenn Stearman. I think it's a great shout. Obviously, he produced, I think 2 years ago, was it, in the 3-day competition? He was leading, or was it the list day competition? The semi-pro competition. He was leading wicket taker. He's kicked on from there. Obviously, he's done well for the Warriors, and he deserves his call up. Did very well in the 3TC tournament. I think him and Joe Nuttall were the two guys who were maybe in the shadows, kind of came out. Joe Nuttall, I'm not sure he's injured. He's not in the squad, is he? He's not in the 24-man squad.
I don't understand why, because he was playing today, and he batted very well as well.
Yeah, they were in trouble today, weren't they, against the Lions? Then Miguel Torres made a few runs as well. But
he did, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think I would have brought him into, even if he didn't play any games. I would have brought him into the 24-man squad to get a feel of just being an international, feel of it, and just in the round, the creme de la creme.
I think that's always important, isn't it? That's why I feel like the bubbles were sort of, there was a silver lining in the international bubbles in the summer, because you had guys coming over from West Indies, young guys from the West Indies, from Pakistan, from Australia, from Ireland, and obviously a load of guys from England as well, experiencing the international field and in the intra-squad games, playing internationals, against international players, because obviously they're mixed up teams. So, yeah, I feel like those bubbles there was a silver lining to them in that sense.
Definitely, yeah. No, I agree with that. I think it's a good point you made there, Joe. I mean, just actually, Joe, if you want to follow up, just kind of finalize these points, just about the players. I mean, would you say there's anyone to be fearful of? Obviously, I mean, fear in the best possible way, but as an England team, you mentioned Nokia, Rabadi, Mitch de Kock. Is there anyone you feel can really turn the series on its head? If it was to pick up one player,
yeah, Tabrea Shamsi.
Really?
I mean, I feel like he's the kind of guy would just randomly pick up wickets. And I, to be honest, hope he doesn't do his stupid magic celebration, because I don't know what he's doing with that.
On Tahir with his celebration, do you know what I mean?
Oh, I prefer Tahir celebration, but yeah. But yeah, I feel like Tabrea Shamsi is someone who will have like an uncanny knack of taking wickets, and with the bat as well. I feel like Rasty van der Dussen, certainly in the one-day format. Again, I mean his average is insane. He's just an insane player, and I saw him get 90. I think you were there at the same game, Aaron, when he got like 90. Yeah, was it like 97 he got?
95. Was it 90? No, it's 95 because he went for 6 off
and he got caught on the boundary on the last ball against Australia, and that was one of the best one-day innings I've seen in a long time, certainly live at a ground. So yeah, I feel like he's another one who'd sort of be wary of for the England bowlers, because he's the kind of guy who can turn the game on its head.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go. It sounds a bit boring, cliche, but Quinton de Kock just scares the hell out of me. I saw how he obviously turned his form around mid-season for Mumbai Indians, and he just looked phenomenal. The way he dispatched Rabard, I know he's played with him for years and years, but he just treats him like he was Paul Collingwood. Do you know what I mean? Just like laid into the down legs every time, He just looked phenomenal at the end, didn't he? What's Quinton de Kock actually? What's funny about him? You very rarely hear his ability as a keeper, which I think is actually the best compliment you can actually say about him as a keeper. That you really say.
He doesn't make mistakes, Em.
He doesn't make mistakes. You don't make mistakes.
He takes some wonderful catches as well. Think back to the one he took in the World Cup.
Yeah,
that was one of the best wicketkeeper catches I've ever seen. That was phenomenal. So yeah,
he's super cricketer, and it'd be interesting to see how he leads the side. He's a bit more mature now, obviously, since a year ago. Almost a year ago when he led South Africa against England last time. So I'll be interested. Actually, was he captain for the England series at the start of the year? Was that still Faf? Did Faf relinquish it after? No, it was de Kock, wasn't it? De Kock was captain.
I think so. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Faf was after the test, wasn't it?
Didn't he? It was de Kock.
I don't even know if Faf played in the white ball series. I don't remember him playing.
I think he did play. I just don't think he did play. He did play. I just don't
think he played against Australia.
He didn't play against Australia. No, that's why Brain came in.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Then.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, okay. Well, so all right. If we just move up back to England squad, I want to ask: is there any players outside the usual prospects for England who can make a name for themselves? So, Joe, I'll start with you. I know Aaron's champing a bit here, so we're making wait a little bit longer. But Joe, do you want to go ahead? Anyone we should be looking out for?
Yeah, I'll go with a batsman and a bowler. And again, no guarantees they'll play. It's obviously tough to break into these sides. But if England sort of rotate the sides, maybe if he plays, and I think Reece Topley will have a big impact in the series because he's obviously been injury free for quite a while now, and I feel like he's such a talented bowler. He's 26. And I think people probably think he's more closer to 30 because he's been around for so long. So, yeah, I mean, Reece Topley's a great player. I really enjoy watching him bowl. Left arm as well, so offers some different variation. And again, if he plays, which I absolutely hope he does, in the one-day series, is Liam Livingstone. Because honestly, I mean, he's played in South Africa before for the Cape Town Blitz. And, I mean, I just think he's one of my favourite cricketers in the world currently, and that's obviously goes without saying being a Lancashire fan, but yeah, I feel like he's got so much to offer England with the bat, with the ball, and he's a phenomenal fielder. So yeah, I think if Livingstone plays, which I hope he does, I hope he gets a go, especially if it's a dead rubber going into the last game. I hope England give him a game. Then yeah, be sure to watch him. Don't leave your settee because yeah, he's gonna perform. I know this is his moment. So yeah, Livingstone for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Aaron, over to you. Batsman and bowler.
Well, first of all, Reece Topley, great shout, by the way, because he had a fantastic T20 blast, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Sorry, really did.
Well in the semi-final as well.
Yes, he did, and it seems to have reinvigorated his career. So a good move, I think, for toppers there. Of course, in terms of a bowler, there is one person who stands out, and that is, of course, Ollie Stone from my county of Warwickshire. He is an absolute gun. And I did look at his ODI stats the other day. Not brilliant, 97 bowling average. I mean, it's better than Moeen Ali, but not brilliant. Didn't have a great series against Sri Lanka, I suppose. But he's coming off, again, of a fantastic season for, Birmingham, as we're known in the T20 Blast. He's just a brilliant bowler. I've already mentioned it. Gun, bowls absolute heat. We saw it today. Knocked Johnny's off stump almost out of the ground. It was a brilliant
delivery. Yeah, good delivery.
Yeah. Just hit back late. So I imagine Ollie Stone, him and Mark Wood together could be a pretty fearsome duo to face off against Norkir Rabada and Geedy, I think. And then in terms of batsmen, Shay, you're going to like this. I'm going to go Sam Billings. I love Sam Billings. He's just pure class, isn't he? The way in which he holds himself on the field. Again, I think he also can provide a bit of leadership.
Yeah.
He's done that, of course, for many years for Kent. And then in terms of batting, he's just someone else, isn't he? Scored his first ever England century against Australia a few months back.
That was a great innings. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Saved our innings.
Yeah.
Also up to a competitive total out of nowhere, basically. So I'm going to choose Sam Billings for my almost dark horse batsman.
Do you think, I'll discuss Lee Livingston, obviously. Do you think it's fair to chuck him in for one game after being kind of the peripheral for so long to give him one game only? Don't you think he deserves a full go, like 3 matches? Like, here you go, here's your opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt I do. But I don't see England doing that. For me, he plays for me. Because honestly, like, what do England have to lose other than the series? But like in the long run, what do England have to lose? Because they could find their next sort of, number 4, number 3, number 4, number 5 all-rounder in one-day cricket, certainly. So for me, what do they have to lose? But I think if they play him for one game, then that's an opportunity that he can't afford to waste, and I don't think he will. I feel like, as I say, this is sort of his time. So he's been waiting in the wings, if you like, for many years. Obviously, has played a couple of T20s against South Africa as well. But yeah, I somehow never played a one-day international. I don't know how. And for me, and also has been with the Test squad as well. Went on a tour of New Zealand in 2016 or 17, around then, and didn't play a game either, even though I felt like he should have done. Maybe I'm being biased. Who knows? Yeah, I don't tend to be biased. Certainly not on the County Cricket podcast. But for me, Livingston has to play every game. I would pick him. He'd be, one of my absolute picks. But it's not my decision ultimately. And if England did play him for one game, then that's an opportunity he's gonna have to take.
I think excellent choices from you guys. The one person I would say, I know it's a very established member of the whole general setup, but Sam Curran for me. Sam Curran, I actually think I think he's a very underrated white ball player. I think we came to the scene, 2017, 2018, especially in the India series. You remember a couple of years ago, he was phenomenal in that Test series. And I think from that we kind of pigeonholed him a little bit as a red ball player, and his brother as a white ball player. But I actually think that Sam Curran actually potentially overtake Tom Curran as a better white ball player. He's done well in the 2 IPLs he's played. As Aaron, you rightly said before, it's not international cricket, but it's not too far away. It's probably the best thing you could compare outside of international cricket. And I think you have to adjust a proper go at white ball cricket for England. He could be extremely handy because he's probably the nearest thing we have. He's not anywhere near at the moment. Probably the nearest thing we have to Ben Stokes in terms of ability and the temperament. I mean, obviously it's a left-arm option, but we're looking, he's 22 years old still. I mean, he's rather so long, but he made his debut, 5 years ago at 17? Sorry, didn't he? But he's still only 22. And I think, he could bat 7. We saw him be so flexible at top of the order. Yeah, I think he actually opened, didn't he, one of the warm-up games here? Did he open? Was it the other day or today? I can't remember. Did he open?
I think was it the first one?
The first, I can't remember. I thought he opened one of the games, but he batted 3 today. 3 or 4? Did he bat today?
He batted quite high up because he made 40 on that. So that brings me back. It's a similar thing with Sam Curran. As if it's a dead rubber, then I'd love to see him open the batting Because again, what have they got to lose? If it's a dead rubber game in the T20 or even in the One Day International, what do they have to lose realistically? They may find a new opener for T20 cricket, and you may as well. If you obviously you can still win a game, but if the series is 2-0 either way, play him to open the batting with him, and he's either gonna get a quick 550 or not get any runs, and so be it. He doesn't get any runs, and that's the experiment over.
I mean, I think he probably will be if he plays. I think he probably bat 7 or 8. He probably bat down. I just think this wicket's not the most conducive to spin bowling, so I imagine he'll play 2 spinners. If it was in Joburg or Centurion, then I could say, I mean, maybe even East London, then obviously you might get more of a go. That's a slow wicket as well, to be fair, but more opportunity. But I just like to see Sam Curran get a proper go in white ball cricket because he seems to be highly regarded in white ball. I think only now for England, but it seems to be everywhere else. I mean, he wasn't really regarded as a white ball player when Punjab picked him up last year. It came out of kind of nowhere, wasn't it? So
and it was a lot of money as well.
Yeah, he did pretty well, didn't he? Opening with Chris Gale for a few games, stuff like that. He was in and out of the team a little bit, but he did pretty well. And I think he's a very talented player again. So I actually think if he gets a go, he might just be one to say, you know what, actually, I'm also a very good white ball cricketer as well. I'm actually better than my brother. Because I mean, Tom Curran, he I don't have the stats to hand. Maybe Aaron, you've got them. I know you've a bit of a stat man. So but I feel like I'm not sure. I don't think his numbers are that great for the past 12 months. I know he had the great BBL last year, but I'm pretty certain his numbers don't reflect that well, especially with the ball. And he's still ultimately bowling all round, isn't he? So I think actually he's got a big tour ahead of him, Tom Curran, if he gets to go. And I know he will do, but I think the next 12 months for him are big because there's people knocking down the door now. Because especially in T20 level, you don't necessarily need 8 batsmen. You could have 6 batsmen and then start with your rounders. So if you've got Ollie Stone and you got Wood and you got Archer, you got Rashid in there. But you got Sam Curran. I think like Tom Curran then becomes a situation where is your batting good enough? You're placing side that bowling well. I don't know. So I'm actually interested to see how he goes.
Could you see him being the replacement for Chris Jordan? Because I feel like they're similar bowlers.
I would agree with that.
Well, similar players. I mean, maybe Jordan's a slightly better fielder, but similar players. Obviously, they're both powerful lower order strikers, and their variation at the death is very, very good. So could you not see him being sort of a successor to Chris Jordan, who is 32, 33 now?
32 Jordan. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think it's a good shot. Tom Curran's around for 3 years. It's not like he's just started. He's a new boy on new kid on the block. He's not. I mean, he played in the Ashes Test 3 years ago. He's been around for a little while. So I just feel like his game is waned a little bit. I know he's been using different roles, especially this year, more of a leader of the attack in the Ireland series in particular. But I just feel like, I'd like to see a bit more from Tom Curran, especially in this series. I think he's better than what he's produced over the past 12 months. So that'll be interesting to see. But if we just head to, I think we kind of wrapped up, haven't we? Players we feel like maybe emerged from the shadows. None of us have mentioned Lewis Gregory. I can see. So I think I don't know if he's going to get a game or not. I mean, just you wonder, isn't it? Where can he fit in? They obviously like him. They like him, don't they? I mean, he keeps getting picked. But I don't know with him. I mean, who else out there, guys, that maybe could have gone and carried drinks and learnt a bit, do you think, instead of him? Who out there could have gone? I don't know. Instead of Lewis Gregory. Yeah, Sam Hain, yeah. I mean, we want to get the Sam Hain thing. I just do it quickly. I mean, do you think that maybe he didn't do so well, did he, in the warm-up games this summer, in the pre-games before? Was it before the West Indies series?
Yeah.
The 55-man squad he was announced for. And I know he didn't do so well in those games, and obviously then he was lobbed off the list. Is there something behind the scenes that we don't know about? Joe, I know you've personally spoken to Sam Hain. Does he seem quite a strong character? Is there anything like, what do you think? Is there something we don't know? Because I always say this, cricket, we don't know what happens in a dressing room, how he's training, how he's taking the game. I mean, he seems, from what I listened to your interview, Joe, it was a great interview. He seems constant professional, very passionate about the game, wants to do better and better. His numbers are incredible. So I wonder how a 25-year-old man with such good numbers did so well in Australia 9 months ago, can completely be shunned. He's not even part of the conversation.
No,
So
that's the crazy thing.
So what is it? Is it something that we're missing here? Is something that we don't know about? That is it because is it just because he flopped when the going got tough, he didn't deliver? Is it? It can't be that. I mean, England have been a bit more patient, haven't they? Shown patience, as we've shown here. People have not delivered for some time, and they still get picked. So freaking Mo and Ali still getting picked, man. Do you know what I mean? So Sam Hayward, 59.47 average, ridiculous numbers. Why is that even part of a 24 bloody man squad? Or whatever it is,
It is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Why is that even
crazy.
part of it?
Yeah.
He's not even part of the reserves.
No.
You know what I mean?
Crazy. Yeah.
I'm baffled. If anyone knows this, I'd love to know. I'd love to know why he's not even talked about. You mentioned Ben Dockett. You even say Sam Hain. You said Ben Dockett.
Yeah. Laurie Evans, another one who's
Laurie Evans,
been on the door for years. No, he's done so well at Sussex. So well at Warwickshire. Well, he did so well at Warwickshire, but he's sort of built his career at Warwickshire. Yeah, Phil Salt's another one, exactly. That's the thing. There's so many different players. Joe Clark, another one. Alex Davis, another one. Who has done consistently well. He's done consistently well in T20 cricket and one-day cricket. He's a very, very, very good player. But it's guys like I'm going to use another Lancs player here, Stephen Croft, who should not be in the team now. But he shouldn't be in the team now. But, you know, in years gone by, he without a doubt should have been in a squad. He's one of the best England players to never play international cricket, arguably.
I know. It is David Lloyd, isn't it? Who is a big fan of Tom Bailey.
Yeah, Tom Bailey's a great player. Yeah,
he's always
Tom Bailey's a quality.
Yeah, I was expecting that from you, Joe, as a Lancs fan. You're not going to say he's bad, are you?
Tom Bailey's quality.
I do think Lancashire is suffering from a lack of profile. I don't know what it is. It's a massive county. But a lot of players seem to go. Alex Davis, Tom Bailey, and Stephen Croft, just very, yeah. But anyway, maybe I don't know. What do you think, Aaron and Sam Hain? Are we going to see him in colours anytime soon, or?
I don't know.
About Rampakash, you're going to say a wasted talent, in 10 years' time.
I pray that he's not. I really do. I mean, I've been watching Sam for years now. So this isn't just like I've seen him for a game or two for the England Lions. The fact he has won us games pretty much from nowhere. And last year he saved our season in the County Championship at Hampshire. I know that's a different format. He scored a 151 not out against Worcestershire to win the derby at New Road as well. He's a bona fide match winner. And I know that is county cricket, of course. It's nothing in comparison to international cricket, but that is our feeder system. And he has been one of the most consistent players in the county setup for years. And it's funny that you mentioned that we've spoken to professional cricketers, because both on and off the podcast, we've spoken to them who's going to be in and around the setup. His name always pops up because he is one of the hardest batsmen to bowl to in the entire setup. And yet he cannot get a game for England. I'm just as baffled as you, Shay, to be quite honest. But this has been going on for years. I don't know why he's not made an 11. The fact that he has a 59.78 average, which is higher than Virat Kohli, who is one of the greatest batsmen ever. Michael Bevan as well, who's an absolute genius in one-day international cricket. It's baffling. And to be honest, I really, really hope that he doesn't turn into, as you said, a Rampakash, who had all of this unfiltered talent and this potential that wasn't realised. So I keep my hopes up. But my word, if that happens, that's going to be one of the most gutting things I think I've ever experienced in cricket, because he deserves to be in there, in my view.
Travesties. I mean, because it's also a damning indictment to the county system. If you can average those kind of numbers and not get a proper go, then what's missing?
Exactly. Yeah, a bit like Hildreth, I suppose. Somerset fans would say the exact same thing about Hildreth, who's been brilliant for years. But yeah, I agree. I think that's an excellent point, Shay.
Let's see, but yeah, I hope not as well. I agree, but anyway, so guys, we're almost at the hour's mark, so let's just head to our predictions for this series. So we'll start with T20s. Obviously, we've got the T20 starting on Friday, and then we'll do the ODI. So, Joe, do you want to start with your predictions for both series?
Yeah, you know what? I think South Africa are going to take this series. I feel I think it's going to be a close fought series, but I just feel like it could go either. I think it'll be 1-1 going into the last game, but I just feel like South Africa will nick it. Obviously, home conditions are going to be a massive part. No crowd is is gonna maybe make it more neutral, but it's so different to other sports such as football, where no crowd, the pitches are the exact same thing no matter where you play, right? But in cricket, it's about knowing the conditions and things like that. Well, that's a massive part of it. So I think South Africa will nick the T20 series 2-1 for me. Just last game. I think it'll go down to the last game. So yeah, I'll go 2-1 South Africa.
And the ODI series?
Oh, and the ODI series. I think 3-0 England. I feel like England are world champions. England are world champions, and England have to prove themselves in other countries. It's all right winning a home World Cup, but if you can't whitewash other sides, who, let's be honest, South Africa are going through a tricky period in their cricketing, journey right now. They are. That's just a fact. And I feel like if England have to be able to prove that they can win games of ODI or series of ODIs in other countries. So yeah, I'm going to back England. I'm just going to go for it 3-0. Let's see what happens. But yeah, like I say, South Africa will win the T20s, but I think England will whitewash them in the one-day internationals.
Yeah. Big call out. Fair enough. All right, Aaron, over to you.
I mean, in a way, I respect that. That is very, very bold, Joe.
Yeah,
I must admit.
Back at you.
Fair play. You're in your England cap, I suppose. I suppose for the T20s, I agree with you. Obviously, as an England fan, you'd say 2-1. But then again, I agree with you. South Africa are a team which, if they can put together a complete performance, can beat this England team. It's as simple as that, with the likes of de Kock, Rabada, Nortje and Gidi. The list goes on and on and on. They just need to find the correct combination, really. So I'm going to say a tentative, and it's extremely tentative, really on the fence, 2-1 England. But again, I think it could flip either way. With regards to the ODIs, I also think that's going to be a very close series as well, because England haven't got Stokes, they haven't got Archer, they haven't got Sam Curran, who they could rely on, or David Willey, for example, with a new ball. So again, I don't think it is as simple as we're world champions and we're going to absolutely obliterate the South Africa team, who in their last series whitewashed Australia 3-0.
Of course, yeah. So, but a lot has changed in that time. A lot has changed. And it's a good time for England to prove their squad depth.
I agree with you. No, I understand your point, Joe, of course. And South Africa have played a lot less international cricket. Look at England. We had, 2-3 series in the summer against the likes of Australia and Pakistan, for example. So I'll say again, England 2-1. But again, I just think both series are going to be on a knife edge. It's South Africa.
I agree.
They always bring their A game. England always bring their A game. Whoever reaches it first, I think, will win the series. So either way, no matter what the result is, expect some fireworks and expect some fantastic cricket over those 13 days or so.
Because of memory, the ODI series was drawn, the T20 series won by England.
Yep, correct.
So yeah, there was the washout game in Durban for the ODIs, wasn't it? But was it ODIs or the T20 was washed out? I can't remember which one.
No, that's right. The ODI, yeah. We actually started to get back into the game, didn't we? I think Mahmood might have got a wicket in that game, didn't he? Or it was Rashid, one of the two.
Yeah, but I remember the system. That was one typical Durban, but it was raining. But yeah, so okay, so you're saying basically, Aaron, it's going to be close. You expect maybe an England victory potentially in the T20s, but the ODIs you're maybe less convinced of an England victory.
Almost, yeah. I think in both, to be honest. As I said, South Africa, never discount them. Look at the Aussies. That's all I'll say. That's a lesson that I've learned now.
And they went with a strong team. Smith, Labuschagne, and Warren. They all went. Stark and the rest of them. I'm going to go for an England T20 series victory, 2-1, and I'm going with a South Africa win in the ODI series. The reason for that, I just feel like I think England by that point. I also feel like there's less. Not say intensity. I think obviously it'll still be there, but the reality is, even with the Super League, I believe it counts towards Super League points.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I still feel 3 years away. Maybe. I think it's obviously the end of a year kind of feel to it for the English players. And I'm also saying a lot of people there with like people at Livingston up there to make a point. But I just feel like maybe end of the year, they might be a little bit maybe jaded to a certain extent. And I just feel like South Africa will nick it. I think I'd like to say England will win both. But I think England will show their mettle in the T20s. I think they'll show their ability. I think they've got a much more settled side. And I think look at the guys you mentioned who are not on the team for England. I mean, it's just ridiculous at the quality, the level of quality, So they will go hard at Rabada, Nortje, and Gidi, etc. And I just think there's probably too much in a locker in the T20s. In the ODIs, I think it might be slightly different. I think people like I said, Varane might come into it, Klaas might come into their own, and I think they just might nick it. And I generally feel like the longer the format, the difference in quality shines through. I always, the lower the short format, obviously, the weaker sides can pull off an upset, as we've seen, obviously, for the course of time. But in this case, I feel like even though England appears a stronger overall squad, I think they'll lose the ODIs. I think losing Stokes and Archer, I think Ollie Stone is going to be absolutely rampant. I think he's going to be incredible. I think he's going to get his go and finally get the opportunity. And I think that's why you saw in this, in these warm-ups. I think he's going to really push his case going forward. He's going to take Archer's spot. He's going to push Mark Wood as well. I think Mark Wood should be looking over his shoulder. I really think that if Stoke can stay fit, I don't see why he can't be opening the bowling come next year in India alongside Archer and not Mark Wood. World Cup. It all depends on Ollie Stone's back. If it can stay strong, because I think he's I've been a bit critical of the fact that Ollie Stone continually gets picked, yet he doesn't play. He comes in, he gets injured, and he can't stay in and out. But I think the fact that how he's shown, obviously, he's fit at the moment. I think this might be his opportunity to shine. But I'm going to go for South Africa. I can say a close series. I'm going to go one apiece, basically. So. Yeah, sorry, long-winded.
Seem to have lost Shay over here.
Yes, we do seem to have lost Shay. Right at the end.
We do, yeah.
Hopefully he'll come back in a minute, though. But,
yeah, I mean, this seemed like as good a time as any to plug the County Cricket Podcast.
Yes, I suppose it does.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, go on, you plug away.
Well, yes, of course, guys, out there, if you want to go and follow us on Twitter, it's on the screen right now, at the County Cricket 2. For any County Cricket fans out there, please do go and give that a follow, and also check out the podcast, of course, and also to Shay of the Uneven Bounce as well. Please do go and subscribe to the channel, of course. Shay's fantastic, got plenty of content, and of course, it's got plenty planned for the future. So we have unfortunately lost Shay. That will be the end of the video today, guys, but thank you very much for tuning in, and Shay, I'll see you on the next one.